Hi everyone, Katie Gehring here. Today I'm sharing an idea with you to make a DIY Fringed Heart Valentine. I'll have all the supplies that I used to make this card linked in the video description below. To start, I have pulled out the Sizzix Heart Framelit die set, and I'm using one of the medium-sized hearts, and I've grabbed a pile of scraps from my paper stash, and I am just running the heart die through all of these different pattern papers and pieces of cardstock. I'm going to be using different stripes of colors and patterns on the card, so I'm just doing all of my die cutting up front. One of the tips that I can pass along to you is that when I am die cutting lighter or medium weight paper similar to these to pattern paper here, you can actually cut two sheets at once depending on the die you're using and of course your machine. But that does help save a little bit of time. If you are in a rush, you can just cut multiple sheets of pattern paper at the same time. With all of my hearts die cut from the cardstock and the pattern paper, I'm going to start putting the fringed heart together. So to do that, I am slicing apart the hearts just using a tonic paper trimmer, and then I have out my Martha Stewart fringe scissors, and I am using them to just kind of carefully cut. I don't want to cut all the way through the paper, but I definitely want to leave a solid border up along the top, and it creates this really nice fringe look. Now, if you don't have the Martha Stewart fringe scissors, you can of course use regular scissors and then just make the cuts manually. It'll just probably take you a little bit longer, and depending on how good you are at estimating distance, the cuts may not be as uniform, but certainly you will get the same effect. And although this heart embellishment is definitely intended to have a very much a fringed look, not every piece of cardstock or pattern paper that I cut will have the fringe treatment. Some of them are just going to be left solid, and that's just to kind of provide a little bit of contrast between the fringed pieces against some of the more solid pieces. And it also helps me save a little bit of time because I'm not having to take that extra step and cut the fringe on every piece of cardstock. So while I'm finishing up the heart embellishment, let's talk a little bit about some ideas that I can share with you for making quick and easy cards. One of the best pieces of advice I can give you is that when you sit down to craft, it's really helpful if you have an idea in mind in terms of what you're trying to achieve or what you want your card to look like. And, if your ideas are not coming to you, you can always start with a sketch or look to inspiration, different blogs, or Pinterest or Instagram or whatever your source of inspiration is, and get some ideas to kind of get those creative juices flowing. The second tip that I can share with you when you're really aiming for simple design is to stick with one focal point. So for my card, this fringed heart is going to be the main focal point of the card, and that's why it's kind of taking me the longest, but it's really going to be the only kind of fussy element, if you will, that's included in my card design. The third piece of advice that I can share with you in terms of quick and easy design is look for shortcuts. So for example, I'm using quite a bit of pattern paper on my heart, and that really helps me kind of amp up the visual interest in the detail on the card, and it's not something that I have to stamp or color or in any way create myself. I can just go to my paper stash and grab a few scraps and use them here on the card. I am nearly finished assembling the different pieces of pattern paper and cardstock on the heart. And so once I have all of those in place, I am just using a pair of regular paper scissors to just kind of trim off the excess. And then as a final finishing touch, I've just cut a thin strip of gold cardstock and added a little bit of score tape to the heart, and I am placing that gold cardstock along the seams of two of the papers that are on the heart. So there is the heart all finished and ready to go. Now I'm going to be mounting it to a panel of white cardstock that I'm going to die cut with Avery L's Wonky Stitches Element die set. I love this die set. I use it quite a bit in my cards, and it just really adds a nice stitched element and is a huge time saver because instead of actually stitching, I can use the die that simulates the look. Now, the sentiment set that I am using is also from Avery L. It's called Favorite Person, and it just has beautiful sentiments, beautiful fonts that could be great for Valentine's Day or really any time to just convey to someone that you're their favorite person. So I've stamped the sentiment using VersaFine Black Onyx ink, and I've adhered the heart to the panel that I die cut with the Wonky Stitches die, and now I'm adhering the nearly completed panel to a pink card base. As a final finishing touch, I've decided that I'm going to just adhere a few clear sequins to the heart, and I'm just kind of figuring out where I want those to go. So I'll figure out their placement, and then I'm going to grab my glossy accents and just put a little dab of the glossy accents down and adhere my sequins to the card. So I am wrapping up this card here, but if you have any questions about how I created the fringed heart or any of the supplies that I used on my card, please just leave me a comment here on this video or on the blog and I will get back to you. So here's the finished card. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope that it gave you an idea for creating a quick and easy Valentine's card using some DIY embellishments. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.